morning. Welcome to the cabin. It's a beautiful morning here on the banks of the Bochitta River. Good to have you. Go ahead and get yourself a cup of hot coffee and join me here on the porch for a little porch sitting. I thought I would share with y'all today a story or a chapter out of this little book. Y'all know my penchant for history, especially local history. And this little book is entitled An Historical Sketch of Magnolia, Mississippi. It's from the centennial celebration of Magnolia, Mississippi, and it covers the years from 1856 to 1956. This book was given to me by my friend Sam Bell. And if y'all don't know Sam Bell, you need to get to know him. He's the owner and operator of Bell Remnants, and he does estate auctions. So if you find yourself in that situation where you need an expert to run your estate auction and get you the most for your money, contact Sam Bell. You'll find him in Macomb, Mississippi. And if you need to get him, holler at me. I'll hook you up with him. But anyway, this little book is very interesting to me. It covers a lot of local history of our area here in Pike County, Mississippi, even though it's centered on Magnolia. And you know, we live in some pretty turbulent times right now. Right now we happen to have the riots out in LA and across the country, and we probably think that we live in some pretty singular times. And there's been strife and there's been tough times since the very big founding of our nation. And what we're going through right now is not really that special. To maintain liberty, we have to be ever vigilant. And so, with that being said, I thought I would share with you a little bit of the history of Pike County, Mississippi. And it has to do with Ancel Prewitt. Ancel Prewitt was the founder of Magnolia, Mississippi. He was a wealthy man. He had a large family. He reluctantly accepted the position of sheriff in the county. Now you got to remember, this is in the 1870s, 1871 to be precise, and the South was still under Reconstruction. And times were tough, and there was a struggle for political power in this area. So anyway, I thought I would share with you, and it's not that long, the assassination of Ancel Prewitt. During the past Civil War years, Mississippians became used to hardship, violence, and frustration. Their officers and lawmakers were seldom of their own choosing, and dealing with the northern imports among them caused many a Southerner's patience to strain. In 1868, General Adelbert Ames was appointed military governor of Mississippi. Many officers were forced from their jobs by his administration to be replaced by the carpetbagger's choice. Levi Felder was replaced as sheriff by Charles B. Young, a Canadian Irishman and an ex-Union officer who had commanded a Negro regiment against the South. This undoubtedly seemed a particularly bitter pill for the already riled folks of the county to swallow. Soon after, it was discovered that he had stolen more than $12,000 in tax money. This, in addition to other offenses, caused him to disappear rather suddenly. And the circumstances of his disappearance were the sources of much speculation. Mr. Young's going is a story within itself. One of his acts as sheriff was to arrest Joseph W. Head for the murder of a prominent and elderly Magnolia merchant, Abraham Hiller. James L. Alcorn, who was inaugurated governor in March 1870, reversed the tyrannical policies of Ames and appointed Ancel H. Prewitt to succeed the late and unlamented Mr. Young as sheriff. Mr. Prewitt, then 58, was reluctant to accept the appointment. He did so realizing that to be sheriff in these turbulent times in Mississippi was extremely dangerous in many ways. His imploring friends and his own conscience caused him to meet the challenge. The first sight of his badge probably incurred considerable unrest in his wife's heart. In the meantime, Joseph W. Head had dug his way out of the Holmesville jail, was caught and jailed in the Vicksburg jail. He was released from the Vicksburg jail on writ of habeas corpus, arrested again, and at the time Mr. Prewitt became sheriff, was locked again in the Holmesville jail. On the 3rd of January 1871, Mr. Prewitt started for Vicksburg with the prisoner, where he was again to be locked up for safekeeping. As his deputies for the trip, Sheriff Prewitt chose his youngest son, Elijah, and the Magnolia Town Marshal, W.L. Bose Coney. The deputies carried double-barreled shotguns, and the sheriff was armed with a six-shooter. The handcuffed prisoner was put aboard the train, excuse me, and Sheriff Prewitt took his seat beside him. The two deputies sat facing them, guns in hand. The officers felt some relief in getting started without incident. By the time they reached Johnston Station, they felt fairly sure of a safe journey on to Vicksburg. Upon stopping at Johnston Station, while passengers were filing past them in the aisle, they found themselves surrounded by a gang, and in the flick of an eyelash, their guns were seized. While prisoner Head fled, his cronies fired mercilessly at the defenseless officers. Young Elijah was badly wounded in the shoulder, the bullet ranging down into his back. Mr. Coney, who miraculously missed being wounded, later identified the gang as members of Head's army outfit from Arkansas, including Head's younger brother. The latter fired 2 bullets into Sheriff Prewitt's back and would have continued had not Mr. Coney pled with him to stop firing on the prostrate sheriff. The desperados fled on horseback with the prisoner, leaving Mr. Prewitt mortally wounded. 1 bullet pierced the sheriff's chin, and the other went through his back and into his chest. A third lodged in his spine, paralyzing the lower half of his body. When the train reached Brookhaven, Elijah Prewitt had partially recovered from the shock of his wounds and helped transport his father to the DeSalle house. The best doctors were called in, and his family was summoned from Magnolia. Mrs. Prewitt and her son-in-law and daughter, Captain and Mrs. C.A. Zachary, remained with him for 11 days until he died. His other children visited him alternately. His friends at home were kept informed hourly by telegraph. Mr. Prewitt remained alert until the end. His attorney, S.A. Matthews, was called and given instructions. He directed the place and order of his funeral as master of the Masonic Lodge. On Friday night, January 13, 1871, Ancel Prewitt, the man who founded Magnolia, died, a victim of the times. Nothing now known about his character and personality indicated that his end must come by violence. He was a calm, peaceful neighbor and father. But like so many of his contemporaries, he was, by fate, guided into the swift current of a series of events which carried him straight through his 58 years of life to his death. Get a little hit on this. The events of his birth in 1812 till the murder in 1871, if predicted for him by a fortune teller, would undoubtedly have elicited chuckles and amusement from him. But in the cold retrospective eye of the history of those dark days after the Civil War, it is of a pattern remembered by many communities. Ancel Prewitt did not want to die, any more than countless young heroes of Magnolia history who have died on battlefields from the Civil War through the equally terrible wars of modern times. But he did die because he was performing a duty in the same sense of responsible citizenship for which all heroes die. He lived, acted, and died for the peaceful existence of Magnolia, and 100 years later he is still a hero, a personality brought out from old papers, Bibles, and faded relics to be dusted off and polished to renewed brightness. Through the efforts for the 1956 centennial celebration in Magnolia, his importance is now better known and his memory more cherished than ever before. Alright, so that's the story of the assassination of Sheriff Ancel Prewitt, a citizen of Magnolia, Mississippi, up until the time of his death in 1871. So what's that all about? Well, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Pike County, southwest Mississippi, southeast Louisiana, got a very rich and sometimes checkered history. But you know, the people never gave up. You know, you just keep striving towards something that's better. Keep supporting your local government, support your sheriff, and encourage other people to do the same. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you the next time.